I think today I would like to talk about it. I would like to share with you a different perspective, a spiritual perspective, from a Buddhist spiritual perspective, and what can we do about this coronavirus. I said that is the theme of today's Dhamma talk. And first of all, we need to understand we can never become free from this kind of viruses. These are always there, and now especially today, the people, virologists in China, they're saying this kind of virus, coronavirus, it started from this animal livestock. There are all kinds of animals for sale, and especially it started from a snake, they said, right? And so this actually got my attention to what Buddha said in the Vinaya Pitaka. Vinaya Pitaka is the textbooks that contain the rules and regulations of the Buddhist monks and nuns. And so there are actually a lot of stories, and especially in this section called Besajja Khanda. In Pali, Besajja means medicine, Khanda means a section. So in this section of medicine, I'm not going to talk about the whole thing, but he especially prohibited the monks and nuns to not to eat certain types of flesh or meat. And there are 10 kinds, and one of them is a snake. The lion, tiger, leopard, wolf, bear, dog. So all these types of meat, we should refrain from eating. And so again, this is subject to discussion. Maybe there is a reason for Buddha to encourage his disciples to refrain from consuming such types of meats. And so the interesting, I think I made a post about this, in the social media. I posted it this is just to make an awareness or to give an education, Again, this is subject to discussion or criticism or different views. So one person actually made a very interesting comment saying, of course, these animals normally eat other animals. So they already have germs, virus, and then they are also eating other animals. So they're full of viruses. Maybe their immune system is okay, strong enough to survive. And then when we touch, when we hang around with them, when we eat the flesh, and then our immune system is not strong enough to fight with the virus coming from those animals. And I think that is a kind of interesting perspective, interesting way to look at this. And so whatever it is, and these things are coming from, in the Buddhist text, we see the Buddha saying the samsara, the cycle of life. Right? It's an endless, beginningless the life circle, and in this life circle, there is one thing actually even for in Buddha, he said he started doing meditation at the age of 7. Do you know why? One day, his parents, of course, his family members, including Prince Siddhartha, little Siddhartha, he was 7 years old at that time. and they all were enjoying the rice field ceremony, harvesting ceremony, or plowing ceremony. So it's a kind of royal, the national ceremony. Even today, you can see such celebrations in India, like a Vaishakhi Mela and something like that. And in this plowing ceremony, while everybody was enjoying all the activities, little Prince Siddhartha, the Buddha to be, noticed something in the environment. What was that? He saw an eagle catching a snake and eating it. The snake catching the frog and eating it, and the frog catching the flies and eating them, and the flies eating the dead eagle. So when he saw this, what is this? It's a food circle, no? Right? So, and when he saw this, he got terrified. He got terrified. How wretched the world is. How could this be? Basically, we are eating one another, these birds, animals. And then he could not enjoy this ceremony. And he went aside and sat under a red apple tree nearby, and he started practicing meditation. So it is said that when he meditated, he was able to experience a deep, calm state of the mind known as the jhana. So, and then little Prince Siddhartha's nannies were looking for him. They said, Siddhartha is missing, Siddhartha is missing. So they informed his parents, and Prince Siddhartha's father, King Suddhodana, of course, they all started searching for him. Then they all saw him sitting under that tree and meditating. So now, this actually has a lesson to teach us. Now, when the lion or tiger or leopard sees us, when they, let's say, if they see me, are they going to respect me as, he's a Buddhist monk, I should not eat him? No, he's not going to recognize me as a Buddhist monk. He says, I got my good food today. He's going to come and just, So, they see us as food. And then, we human beings, how do we see them? We also see them as food. Now, of course, let's say there's the Western religious tradition, there is a saying, all animals have been created as a food or for the consumption of the human beings. Now, and then when we continue, what's happening here is that basically we all are eating one another, each other. Now, this is why the cycle of life, the samsara, has become terrible. That's why we are still suffering. That's why we are still in this cycle of life. So we are chained, basically. We are chained in this cycle of life. It's this, of course, in Western religious tradition, they say after life, of course, you're going to go to hell or heaven or something like that. So, but in Eastern religious tradition, they say, no, life continues. That's why they are talking about this concept cycle of life. Like, as in Jainism, Hinduism, Buddhism, in Far Eastern countries like Confucianism and Taoism, they all talk about this cycle of life, the samsara. Now, why are we doing this practice? to free ourselves from samsara, the cycle of life. That's why we are practicing the Dharma. Now let's say in Buddhist tradition, we talk about nirvana. Now, nirvana is the freedom, the release from the cycle of life, freedom from suffering. So, in other words, the cycle of life, the samsara is full of suffering. That's why Buddha even one time said, monks, I can't praise samsara. Samsara is such that is full of pains, full of suffering, full of troubles, full of dangers. We are falling into all these traps. There are a lot of traps. We are getting trapped. And there's no way that we cannot get out of this. But we can try practicing Dharma to understand that. That's why there's a interesting teaching in the Noble Eightfold Path. The first the path is called Samma Ditti, the right, which means right view, right understanding. So this right understanding is about seeing the things as they really are, understanding the law of karma. Basically, we are creating our own karma, no matter what we are doing, good or bad. So, if we are not being mindful, if we are not being conscious, we are going to end up doing all the bad karma. We are going to collect all the bad karma. But if we are being mindful and conscious, then we are going to collect the good karma. And so that's why we are encouraging people to do good all the time, although we have the tendency to do the bad things. So now another aspect of this right view, right understanding, is also to understand the Four Noble Truths, the suffering, the cause of suffering, the cessation, the end of suffering, freedom from suffering, and the path that leads to the end of suffering. So, first two are very important to get to the next step. Like, there's a problem, we say, the problem, and then this talks about the cause of the problem. Now, bring that into what we are experiencing right now. Let's say coronavirus. That is the problem. And it's the suffering, it's the pain, that's the problem. Now, if there is this problem, if there is this pain, if there is this fear, if there is this danger, there is a cause, root cause. That is what we need to understand. There is a root cause behind this. Now, of course, the root cause behind the suffering is, Buddha called it the tanha in Pali, or in Sanskrit we call trishna. So it has been translated into English as the desire or craving. But literally, tanha means thirsty. Like thirst. We are thirsty. We are hungry. And we feel always incomplete, wanting more. That's the meaning of this. So, now, when you look at here, of course, there's a desire for, craving for sensual pleasure, desire for existence, desire for non-existence, so there are three types. But now, when we bring this into another aspect of the teachings, Buddha always highlights there are three root causes. That these are known as the poisonous roots, right? Poisonous roots. We call akusala mula. Mula means the cause. Root. That's interesting. Like, that's what we need to find out. I think this is what even today the virologists, experts, scientists are trying to find what is the root of this coronavirus, what is the root of the SARS virus, what is the root of this MERS virus. So it's interesting, even today I read this article appeared in the CNN news, how they say the bats are the animals, type of birds full of viruses. I didn't know this, you know. They say they are the birds or animals that have a lot of viruses, right? So, and then this one especially, coronavirus, started from snake, the cobra. Now, what are we doing? For some civilizations, those are special delights, right? So, the eating snake, eating bats, right, and other types of animals. Now, because we are doing this, maybe those who are eating them, maybe they're used to it culturally, geographically, but it shows is our human greed. There are three root causes, Buddha said. Lobha means greed. Dosa means anger. And moha means ignorance, delusion. Okay? So, three. So, due to greed, maybe excessive wanting, craving, we feel like eating everything. There's no end to it. Right? There's no end to it. We are thirsty, we are hungry for this. And then if we can get them, and of course, the next typical experience is the anger. We have hatred, we have anger, and we are craving for things, we are greedy, we are angry, because we don't see the things as they really are. That is moha, the delusion. We basically we got deluded. We got deluded, and that's why we are seeing what is not good for us. We see them as good for us. This is also part of what we call the distorted perception. Distorted perception is we also call sanya vipallasa. Like our perception has been distorted, our view, our understanding. So what is not, or let's say what is ugly, not beautiful, we perceive them as beautiful. And what is impermanent, we always perceive them as permanent. What is not mine or me, myself, we always perceive them as me, I, myself. So, all these are based on the moha, the delusion, and because of these three types of root causes, or roots, unwholesome roots or poisonous roots, and then we are just, trying to enjoy everything, and then, of course, some people could say, no, these practices have been there throughout the history, and people have been engaging in these activities. And I think that's why the people are still suffering. So whatever it is, let's say, though you eat them or not, of course, there will be this problem, but we can reduce, we can decrease, we can help alleviate human suffering. Now, how? This is why we talk about 4 steps. Now, that's what Buddha did actually. Like, so when he saw that food cycle, the chain of food, And then he said, oh my goodness, this is so horrible. I can't stand this, the samsara, the life is such that it's full of problems. Now people are suffering from sickness, now of course, let's say more than 100 people, 100, how many? What's the number now? 125, 30? 32, 132 people died, and then more than 6,000 people have been diagnosed or quarantined, and more than 3,000 people have been diagnosed with this virus, and so now it is spread to other countries. So there's this scare, there's this fear. Oh my goodness, it's coming. So now what we have to do is, we need to make an awareness, we need to give this education. This is also part of our own meditation, by the way, right? So one thing we need to keep in mind, if our immune system goes down, becomes weak, those viruses can easily attack us. So you need to keep your immune system strong and healthy with good thoughts, right? Good thoughts, whether those are the real viruses, by greed, anger, and delusion. These are the real viruses actually consuming us every day, creating a lot of pains and sufferings in our life. So, what we can do is, the solution can be done, and we can follow the 4 steps. The first step is the prevention. Now, I think that's what we have taken, that precaution. That's why we put a notice at the entrance door, stay away from people, getting closer to them, or don't do handshaking, don't hug, and if you're sneezing, cover yourself, or if you think you have to stay home. Even now, companies are allowing their employees to work from home, right? And then use that hand sanitizer all the time. Even I did make an awareness of this in our Sunday school last Sunday, because we have a lot of kids, and even for me, I'm also, when I go out, I always keep that small hand sanitizer. So because we are exposed to the public, right? We meet people come to us, children come to us. So, and at the same time, we don't want to give this virus to people, So, whatever the cause is, let's say, of this, maybe we can try to prevent from those things, the prevention. Like it's a kind of, let's say, whatever happened. Now what can we do? But we have to stop this in the future, make sure that we don't do anything that could, infect these viruses to humans. Normally, the viruses infect from animals to humans, right? So we need to be mindful where we are going to, and if we think, okay, this virus coming from, what exactly, we don't exactly know. There are different views about this. Different virologists are saying different things. Some are saying the snakes, some are saying the bats, and actually in this CNN news, in this special video clip, there even some scientists from University of Petrus in South Africa, they went into this cave, the cave which is full of bats, So they're catching, they're showing, how these viruses are there, So now, if you think, bats are the source of the virus, let's say, or snakes are the source of the virus, or any other types of animals are the sources of the virus, and I think we should, we need to show our compassion, but then if we hang around with them too much, then, if we consume them, then it's going to infect us, and we suffer, and at the same time, we spread to others. So, whatever the causes are, roots of these viruses, we should try to prevent from them. That is part of our mindfulness practice. This is part of our meditation, including our own thoughts, right? Our own negative emotions. We need to, if there are any objects or people or image or perception or activity that cause these problems, we should try to prevent from them. It's like, how when you go on a trail, you see some warning signs, right? Warning signs, don't go through this trail. Beware of the dogs or the bears or the lions, right? And even like, when you ride the subway trains in Toronto, how they have the mind the gap, right? So these are warning signs, and I think we need to pay attention to this, right? And we really have to mind the gap, and so we need to prevent. So prevention is very important, right? That's the only thing we could do. Of course, let's say here, people could, now there's no specific medicine for this virus yet. Do we have a specific virus for the medicine for this? There's no cure for this yet, right? So we know that, okay, so we know we need to be mindful of that. There's no special medicine or antibiotics. Whatever the antibiotics we are taking right now, they can't help with this virus. So we should be mindful of that. And just so from today onwards, let's be kind and compassionate to ourselves and also to others. Let's not infect others. Let's not pass this on to other people. And then elimination. So let's say these things happen. Okay, what can we do? Let us work together to eliminate this virus. And let's be mindful, and we don't need to marginalize certain community for saying, okay, of course, let's say people have visited China, but as we take care of ourselves, also we should be kind to them. We should not say any bad things. Or don't get scared. Again, if you get scared, you're going to be infected. You need to be mindful of that, because your immune system is going to go down. It will become very weak. But have compassion, have compassion. Okay, you visited that country, let's see what we can do. Okay, so I think here the government is trying everything their best, right? They are diagnosing people, they are quarantining people, right? And so those are nice. I don't know how the lifestyle right now in downtown Chinatown on Spadina Road. So sometimes people try to refrain from going that part of the section of the city. But whatever it is, don't worry about anything. Just think positively. Show your compassion. Show your kindness to everyone. And now there is do you know how you can enjoy good health with long life? There is a story in the Buddhist literature. There is a disciple of the Buddha known as the Bhakula. He's an enlightened disciple of the Buddha, and it is said that this monk is the foremost among the healthiest disciples, right? He was given a special title for that. And now every day, it is said that he even never sneezed. Right? He never coughed. He did not suffer from any particular sickness. And another beautiful thing that happened, like every day he takes a shower, right? A new set of robes is ready for him. It is the divine beings bring the new set of robes for him. So whatever it is, right? So they are trying to say he was the healthiest disciple. Now, how did he get that experience, that life. In one of his lifetime, the past, again when there was an epidemic like this, and a lot of people died. By that time, in that life, he was a doctor, and he, while he was treating the virus-infected people, the patients, at the same time, he made sure to look after the disciples of the Buddha, the monks, right? And then while people ran away from that region because of that outbreak, and this doctor did not run away. He said, no, this is my duty to look after these people, the monks and the people, everyone. And then, without any fear, he just remained there and he treated everyone. He looked after everyone. Then as a result of that, in this lifetime, he did not even sneeze or cough or suffer from any particular sickness. And every day he got a new set of robe. So what it is, the lesson is, like when we take care of others, it helps us, even to be there. Like, how sometimes we monks go to visit the patients in the hospice, even in the hospital. We show our kindness, we sit beside them, we try. When I go to hospitals, the one thing that I do, I develop compassion. And then I always make a wish. That is part of metta, the loving kindness. That is, may this person become free from this sickness or this suffering, this pain. I only have that wish, that thought, that intention. And that's why we do the chanting. When we do the chanting, that's why it's called the Blessing Chanting. The chanting is called paritta. Paritta means the protection, protection from all this. So, and I think all of you should be given this blessing thread today to protect yourself. To protect yourself from all the negativities, the negative energies coming from outside. But I think psychology, as you can see, those who were here by 6:30, you have seen how some people came here for blessings, So we did the chanting. Even a Bengali family brought their first-year-old child to the temple to give the blessings. So they believe, and I think that makes them strong. Oh, we went to the temple, the Bhante, the monk, did the chanting, gave this blessing thread. Okay, we are fine. So it gives them a special emotional boost, psychological boost. So, and then they are fine. When there's another Bengali devotee, he said, when he drives, he says, I don't have to worry about anything. Why? Because I have monks beside me. So he said he's protected. So it's kind of belief and a psychological thing. So I think this is very important to understand. Like when you think negatively, then you're inviting the negative things. You're attracting negative things. So while the negative things are coming to us, but we should try to keep ourselves strong with a healthy mind, good mind, full of love and compassion. So today what we should be doing is, I think we should do metta bhavana, loving kindness meditation. Let us wish happiness to ourselves. At the same time, let us wish happiness, the coronavirus-free life to every sentient being, especially those who got infected and those who died and those who are scared. And so one of the benefits of loving kindness meditation, is to gain protection from, let's say, this fire, weapon, natural disaster, all these things. So this virus, the outbreak, is a natural disaster now. So I think we can gain protection from that. So let us generate the loving energy, loving mind. Let's cultivate that loving, compassionate mind, and let's embrace this should be done the way the mother holds the baby, her only child, right, who is crying, or protecting the child from the danger. In the same way, we should embrace all sentient beings, wishing them the freedom from this particular sickness, this coronavirus and other infections, other types of viruses. Let us wish good health and long life, and the people whose loved ones died from this virus outbreak, they are also suffering, they are also in pain because a loved one died. And so it is the human duty, right? It is our good, we have to be good human beings. Forget about our labels as monks, lay people, Canadians, non-Canadians, Christian, Catholic, Muslim, Hindus, Buddhists, Jews. Does really matter whoever we as human beings. Let us generate this love, this loving kindness and compassion, and let's send it out to everyone. This is what we call, this is the only best thing we could do, the positive energy, sending out positive energy, showing our compassion. So in this way, we can help our fellow human beings. It is our duty. So I think these are something that we need to be mindful of, prevent from all those things. Now this happened, now let us try to get rid of this, and let's meditate, let's cultivate loving kindness. And as you know, those three root causes, right? The greed, anger, and delusion. Because of our excessive greed, we are ending up eating everything. Let us try. I think, what if we all become vegetarians? Will it happen? Oh, of course, now there's an awareness going on. Now, of course, there are a lot of people who have become vegans. But Buddha's path is always in between. It's called the middle path. I see if we can follow the middle path, we can protect ourselves. We will be safe, right? But if we follow extremes, we are going to fall, right? So, without following extremes, let's adopt a middle way, middle path, and let's cultivate good thoughts, good intentions, positive energies. Let's send out, these loving energies to everyone to become free from coronavirus and all forms of virus, all kinds of sicknesses. And at the moment, of course, this temple, this shrine room, meditation hall is coronavirus-free meditation room. So don't worry, just relax and breathe. Okay, so with this in mind, let us meditate now.